Oh, hello there. Festive! Yes. Hey folks, my name is Jen, and today I figured that we could do a little bit of a book tag. The book tag that I want to do today, I actually just recently saw on Bill Rutenberg's at the Rutenberg Library. I just saw this tag being done on his channel, and said that it was originally created by Paige at the PM Reader, so I will link both of those videos in the subscription box down below as per usual. And let's just get into the frustrating book tag. So the first question is, name a book you predicted would be 5 stars but was not. So I've had several books that have turned out that way, but I think one of the most recent ones was Arusha and the End of Time by Roshani Chokshi. I was super hyped for this book. We have been talking about it. I really like the Percy Jackson series. Really like Rick Riordan's writing. Like the kind of modern playing with like mythology and everything, so I was pretty hyped to read a whole bunch of the books from his Rick Riordan Presents series. It has authors that write in specific cultures, and I've been pretty hyped up for most of them, but this one was ultimately kind of disappointing, although it might partly be just like my problem, because I think the problem is that I'm not really the target audience for this. This is a middle grade, and the sense of humor overall just seems like it's more geared towards someone who is more amused with, I guess, Disney Channel or Nickelodeon shows, and those were never like something that I was into or had access to growing up. So like I said, I don't think I'm particularly the target audience for this book, and it's largely why I was disappointed in it overall. I think I gave it like 3 stars. I think it was a 3-star read, but I was definitely anticipating this to be like a 5-star, and it was definitely not. Question number 2 is, what book had a great beginning but an ending that let you down? So there are a few books I think that kind of fit that. Those would be Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. I can't remember if I really talked about it a lot in my wrap up of this book, but I liked the beginning, even though very quickly I came to dislike Marianne. Still really did like Eleanor, liked Eleanor through pretty much the whole book, but you know, kept not really being fond of Marianne in general. Started out strong, very interested in what was going to happen, could see relationships that were probably going to go through some issues as the story progressed. I was very, you know, interested in seeing like how things were going to come about, and the ending in general just was not really what I was hoping for. I was actually kind of a little bit surprised. I had been hoping for something a little bit different, and so part of it was because it was not the ending that I was hoping for, and the other part of it is that how relationships ended in this book, one of them I found to be particularly problematic, and I was disappointed in that was endgame, pretty much, was because I found it to be very problematic and I was not happy with the result, and that's why this ultimately let me down overall. Question number 3 is, do you have a book with a pretty cover but an ugly spine? You know, to be honest, I don't think I do. I think the majority of my books, you know, their spines aren't really that big of a deal. Most of my books, I think, seem to, if there's pretty covers, the spines are also fairly pretty, or even if the spines are not really as intricate or as colorful as the covers themselves, it's not that they're ugly, it's just they're not up to the same level of decorated, but that's, you know, that's fine with me. I don't need a decorated spine. A decorated spine is really pretty and nice, but I don't care if it's like plain or anything like that. I wouldn't consider that ugly. It's just kind of, it's just a spine. It's fine. Question number 4 is, do you have a book series that doesn't match? Maybe some are paperback, some are hardcover, or the designs changed halfway through the series. Does it bother you? So a lot of my books with series, there's usually a mix between paperback and hardcover. Usually that is because I have discovered the series later, so I bought it originally in paperback, and then by the time the last book or the next few books in the series come out, I end up getting the hardcover because I'm getting them exactly as they're released because I need to see what's going to happen next. Or as you can tell on my shelf, here's one I do it by accident. There's one back here where it's paperback, hardcover, or we have The Girl Who with the Dragon Tattoo. This is a larger paperback, mass market paperback, larger paperback. That usually happens to me accidentally, most of the time, because like I order it online, I don't realize, or maybe the mass market is just cheaper and I'm like, yeah, whatever. Because most of the time I don't really care that much, because it's not a super big deal. I think the only time that has ever really bothered me when there is a difference, and it's not even like a size difference, like it's with the Princess Diaries series. So the first 2 books, Princess Diaries and Princess in the Spotlight, those I have in like mass market paperback sizes, and then the rest of the series I have in hardcover. And that is not what bothers me so much about the series. What did bother me about it is that we go from these covers with having like very specific details that are kind of highlighted on the covers that are super pink and stuff, but also potentially might have something to do with the plot or the barest amount or whatever. And then we get to this for the last couple of books. And they look like diaries, so yeah, whatever, but we went from this to this, and I hate it. Question number 5 is there a book from your youth you can remember parts of but cannot remember the name of or find anywhere? Yes. So there is a book, and I have actually joined, I think it might be a group on Goodreads, or it's some kind of, it's like, what's the name of the book, or what is this book, or something like that. And I've had a couple of suggestions as to what the book might be, and I looked up the books and the covers don't match, the story doesn't match. It's not the story. The maddening thing is that, okay, so it is a book. It is a hardcover book. It does not have a dust jacket, or at least the copy that I owned as a child does not have a dust jacket, but the cover itself, from what I can vaguely remember, is decorated. And I can't remember what the story is. I do remember that the cover itself, or part of the cover, was purple, which is part of what attracted me to the book in the first place as a kid, because purple is like one of my favorite colors. But also attracted me to it is that it involves a dragon. Again, don't know the title of the book. Have not been able to find it yet. I've typed it into search bars. I've tried to find things, just cannot yet. I don't know how old it is. I do know that this is a book that I believe my parents purchased for me when we were going to a flea market. My town used to. I'm not sure if it's still a thing that happens or not, but it was a thing when I was younger, and they do like outdoor bazaar type thing, and part of the outdoor bazaar is over by the library, and the library will sell some of its older books that it's like changing out or taking out of circulation. Basically nobody wants it anymore, and I've bought a few books from there over the years growing up, and this happened to be one of them. Like I said, that involves a dragon. It takes place in China. There is a child involved. The child is a boy. I do remember that. I cannot remember what his name was, but I do know that it happened in China a very long time ago. And there was a village, and this boy lived in the village but traveled up like a mountain or something like that, and ended up becoming friends with this dragon that lived on the mountain. Cannot remember what happened after that, just remember that it involved this kid. There's a village nearby, went up a mountain, there's a dragon, becomes friends with the dragon. Dragon's wise, dragon's cool. There we have it. If there's more to the story, more action happens, I cannot remember. All I remember is that I loved this book as a kid. And I have been through boxes of things. I have been through boxes of books. Like, you saw me bring home a whole bunch of books recently. This book is nowhere. To be honest, there are still a few boxes of my stuff at my parents' house that I need to go through, but I don't think any of it is childhood. I think a lot of it is like college. So I have no idea where this book went. I know that I loved it. We did have a fire at my house several years ago, and I have a bad feeling that this book was destroyed in the course of that, which is maddening even more because, again, I really loved it. I have no idea what the name of it is. Wish I could remember because I would really like to read it again. If this sounds familiar to any of you, please let me know. I found this book and read it in the 90s. I would say between the years of 94, 5 to about 99. And by the time I had it, it was an older book and it was being taken out of circulation. So the possibility of it being older than 90s is very high, from the 80s, from the 70s, from the 60s or 50s even, maybe not the 50s. It felt very much like something that would have happened after, like, Enlightenment and drugs were involved. But it's not Puff the Magic Dragon. Question number 6. Slightly related. Are there any books that you're certain you've read but cannot remember anything about? There, that unnamed book. I told you the bare minimum of what I remember about that book, and that's pretty much it. A couple of books higher up on my top shelf here, which are young adult, like romancy books. The Year of Secret Assignment. I remember that it's in Britain. I remember that it has to do with kids at varying private schools, a boys' school and a girls' school. I think it's told through letters, and that's about all I remember. There's another book on here, a couple of books actually on here. One has to do with a clique. Can't remember a damn thing about that. Another one up here, which is the Dating Diaries, about high school dating. Again, I must have read it, remember nothing, which is why it's on here, my TBR shelf, so I can read it again. Number 7. Have you ever recommended a book you love to someone and they started telling you everything they don't like about it? And does that bother you? Do your feelings get hurt when someone doesn't love one of your favorite books? I think I have only had like one occasion, 1, 2, I think, no, 3 occasions. There have been 3 occasions in which I have recommended a book to someone and they didn't like it. Or tried to share a book with someone and they didn't like it. The first one was, I remember when I first discovered Harry Potter, I was really excited about it and was trying to like tell my grandma why I loved it so much. And I remember reading like the first chapter to her and being like, isn't that awesome? Do you want to hear another one? And she just wanted nothing to do with it and she thought it was really stupid. That definitely hurt my feelings when I was little. But usually when I recommend books to people, they either don't read them or they read them and they seem to enjoy them as well. There's 2 occasions I can think of where that didn't happen, but there wasn't too much of an explanation really. It was books that I recommended my parents read. I lent a copy of The Joy Luck Club to my mother and told her how much that I really loved it. You know, it's one of my favorite books, and I just wanted to share that with her because it's a book about mother-daughter relationships, even though the mother and daughter relationships are like definitely different than the relationship my mother and I have with each other. But it was just something that I wanted to like, hey, I do really like this and I think that maybe you'll like that too. And she didn't really like it that much. She didn't really explain why she didn't enjoy it. I think it sounded like her main complaint was how sad it was. So I think that was the thing, which it is sad. Like there's definitely sad parts in it. There's definitely some hard parts in it and everything. But yeah, it was her main objection was that it was sad. Then I also had my parents read Stephen King. I gave my dad Mr. Mercedes specifically because I figured my dad, you know, he reads like Clive Cussler, reads like action things, he'll read like mysteries and stuff like that, and I thought that the Mr. Mercedes trilogy is more, I mean there's horror elements to it, but it's more like a action mystery thriller than it is Stephen King's usual like horror. So I figured that, well, maybe this would be something my dad would like, and he did not really enjoy it. He didn't really tell me why he didn't enjoy it. It was just, it was not really his cup of tea. Then I also lent them The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon by Stephen King because neither of my parents are very much into horror. In fact, my mom like scares really easily. She doesn't enjoy horror at all, and my dad usually, he seems to not like it because a lot of it seems to be like gory and shit like that, and it's not something that he's into, which I agree with. It's not, I hate gory horror as well. So I figured The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon, that's the perfect one. It's one of Stephen King's shorter novels, and it also is not scary. It's not a super scary, horrifying horror. It's more unsettling. It's unsettling all the way through, and I figured that maybe this would be more something that they would be able to handle and maybe something that they would enjoy a bit more, and neither of them enjoyed it at all. They did not they did not like it either. Again, they didn't really give me much of an explanation, except they just didn't like it. It was too creepy. I was like, if you find that too creepy, damn, we are not going to be able to have you read any horror whatsoever, because that's like the least creepy horror book I've ever read. So I would say that, let me see if it bothers me. It doesn't, it bothers me in the vaguest of ways, only because I would like to have, you know, some other people in my life where I could gush about a certain author or talk about certain books with, but, you know, that's not always something we can do. But at the same time, it's like I have other books that I can talk with my parents about. You know, my mom and me like romance novels. We're super into mysteries. I can talk to her about those. My dad and I both love Clive Cussler. You know, we can talk about that. So there are other things that I can talk about, and that's perfectly fine. So I guess it doesn't bother me that much, because I know there are other books that we can discuss and other books that we can share, you know, but as opposed to just specific things. I think when I get more bothered is reading reviews of books that are like my all-time favorites, and it's not really every review, to be honest, because a lot of the times I'm just kind of like, that part is flawed, but it didn't really bother me, or, you know, that kind of thing. I think it's only when someone is being like particularly insulting of something that I found to be like a very impactful part of a book, that's the only time that I get a little bit like bothered, but not bothered enough to like start shit with someone, because it's like, why? I mean, everybody has opinions. There's plenty of books that I know people love that I hate the shit out of, and I am not really always nice when I am explaining why I didn't like something. So it's just kind of like, do my feelings get hurt? Not really my feelings, more like, wow, well, I really got something out of it, but I guess you did not. Question number 8. What is your worst experience loaning a book to someone? I don't think I've ever really had a bad experience when loaning a book to someone. More than once, I've loaned a book to people and haven't gotten it back for multiple years. That's something. I do keep track. Like, I have a mental library of where things are, and then I also have my personal library kit, so I know I have a physical thing of like, hey, you lent this and this out to so and so. That doesn't really bother me so much as long as I get that book back. I haven't ever had like a truly horrible experience though, because, you know, I only lend books to certain people. I've lent books to one of my best friends. I've lent books to my parents. I've lent books to my brother. Like, that's about it. I don't lend them out to most people. It's like very specific people. There's like a handful of other people where I could see myself, yeah, okay, I trust you, I'll lend you this book, but I can think of plenty more people that I wouldn't lend a book to, because it would be questionable on whether I would get it back ever, or what condition it would be when it came back to me. Yeah, but so far I have not had, like, I've not gotten a book back totally destroyed or anything. That would kind of definitely upset me, but I think it would be more along the lines of, well, you know, you are not, you know, I'm not going to lend you things again ever, obviously. But I wouldn't really mind that much. I think the only ones that I would be particularly upset on would be, I have some books that were gifts, and have like inscriptions in them, or books from people that are no longer around, and if something happened to them, I would be very upset. I have a couple of books that are antique copies or older, nicer copies, that if something happened to them, I would also be really upset on that. And to be honest, I probably wouldn't lend any of those out. Question number 9 is, show me some of your impulse buys that you've never read. You know the ones you put at midnight while online shopping, or when you were walking through a bookstore and the magic of all the books made you grab a few too many. And we can't forget all those books at such a good price that somehow make it into our shopping bags. Impulse buys. I have a couple right here. Impulse buys. Resurrection Man. This one I got at a second hand shop. I wasn't particularly looking for mysteries, but this was what I grabbed. This one, Dead Sleep, this was in among a group of books that I bought. I had his books recommended to me, and I just kind of impulse bought them. It wasn't so much I need to have it currently, it was more I am avoiding my stress by buying books right now. I have a couple of book hauls that I have done which were a response to stress, so I'll link those. I'll either like put it at the end, or I'll put a link to it in the box down below or something like that, so you can see what my stress or impulse buys look like normally. And the last question, number 10, is, just to make you hate me a little bit more, how many unread books are on your shelves? Oh boy. Currently, unless I have miscounted somewhere, currently I would say the answer is 125. 125. So that is it for this tag. I hope that you enjoyed. Definitely check out the other videos, the original and the one from Bill Rutenberg, that both of which I linked down below. And yeah, if you guys want to do this tag, definitely do it. Consider yourself tagged, I guess. So I don't like calling out people individually. Yeah, hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!